Hi, and welcome to The Working Songwriter, the show where today's best songwriters come to talk shop. I'm your host, Joe Pug. Each episode here, we host a distinguished guest, and we ask them to go deep on their inspiration, on their process, on the general ups and downs of making a life in music. So, whether you're a grizzled veteran with more number one hits than you have fingers on your hands, or else a scrappy upstart with more fingers on your hands than you have dollars in your bank account, this is your show, because ultimately it is what every writer seeks most, an ironclad excuse to put off actually writing. Hey everybody, it's the third Friday of July 2022, and I thank you for joining us. This week's show is brought to you by Bandzoogle. Built by musicians and for musicians, Bandzoogle is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful website for your music. I'm old enough to remember when you had to pay somebody called a web developer to get a website made, and it would always be some guy named Spencer who drove a Kia Sportage with tinted windows and with mud flaps that had a Depeche Mode logo on them. And old Spencer would charge you about $1,000 for a website that would be obsolete in 6 months. But it's the future now, you guys. That's not how it works anymore. We're allowed to have nice things now. One of those nice things is Bandzoogle. Bandzoogle powers the websites of tens of thousands of musicians around the world, from weekend warriors to Grammy winners. All the features you need for a professional website are already built in. Hosting and a custom domain name, dozens of fully customizable design templates, tools to sell your music, and merch commission-free. Listeners to the Working Songwriter podcast can go to bandzoogle.com to try it for free for 30 days. Use the promo code TWS, the initials of our show, TWS, to get 15% off the first year of any subscription. If you'd like to hear some of my music live in the coming weeks, the first Sunday night of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm over on my YouTube channel for Sunday Songs. That's a live stream. I'm live. I'm playing tunes live. I'm taking questions in the live chat. I'm taking requests in the live chat. It's a really fun, really interactive experience. I dare to say that we're building something of a community over there, including many people who are listeners to this podcast. So come on over and be a part of it. First Sunday night of every month on YouTube, head on over to joepugmusic.com and click on the live stream tab to set a reminder. Finally, if you enjoy this podcast, if you'd like to help it remain a viable endeavor for me, here's a couple things that you could do to help. First, you could become a supporter of the show over at Patreon. Patreon is a platform that allows you to directly support creative endeavors that you find meaningful. You just head to their site, Patreon. You search for The Working Songwriter, or you search for my name, and then you sign up to kick in a few bucks every month for the show. Think of it as a voluntary subscription, a subscription that you don't have to pay for, but that you choose to pay for because you dig the show and because you won't miss a few bucks at the end of every month. If just 1% of our listenership would kick in the price of a cup of coffee every month, it would make an immense difference. So thank you to everybody who's taken the time and capital to support the show in that way. If you're not in a position to contribute in that way, that's totally understandable. You could still help out the show for free by either leaving us a rating in the iTunes store or simply telling a friend about the show, spreading the word about this show. The simple math on those two things is that they will help me much more than they will be a pain in the ass for you. Okay, I'll end all the harassment there. I hope you enjoy this week's chat. Our guest this week spent nearly a decade in Nashville before landing a break that's put him on the national map. Jimmie Allen hails from Milton, Delaware. He moved to Nashville to follow his star, but it took a little while for him to catch it. Sometimes he even had to sleep in his car. In 2017, he signed to Broken Bow Records' Stony Creek imprint, and things began to take off for him. His song, Best Shot, off his debut album, went to #1 on the Billboard Country chart and also went platinum. His collaboration with Brad Paisley, Freedom Was a Highway, became his third #1 and Paisley's 20th. He's also duetted with none other than Jennifer Lopez. He's appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and The Late Late Show with James Corden. Last year, he won New Male Artist of the Year at the ACM Awards, and he's currently a nominee for Best New Artist Grammy. Rolling Stone called one of his most recent singles rousing and impassioned, and Entertainment Weekly recognizes him as a country crooner. I caught up with Jimmie on the phone last week while he was on tour in Mississippi to hear about his musical journey so far. Jimmie Allen, thanks so much for being a part of the Working Songwriter podcast. You grew up in Delaware. From what I can tell, you grew up in Milton, Delaware. What did music look like around your household growing up?
So growing up, we had so me and my sisters used to sing at church with my mom all the time, and so my mom listened to a lot of Christian music. My dad listened to a bunch of country music and stuff, and got to like middle school and high school, and fell into like rock and hip hop and R&B and stuff. So it was kind of like all over the place, really.
What kind of Christian music did your mom hip you to?
Man, like Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir, Newsboys. What else was I listening to? John P. Key, Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin.
Did you like that stuff, or was it just something that you were doing to kind of humor your mom with?
I actually liked it. I liked it. I liked the Christian she was listening to, and I liked the country music my dad was listening to. It's kind of like, wow, my music now is kind of like all over the place, a little bit of everything.
And was your dad, was he listening to old school country, or was he listening to kind of like that? There's kind of a golden period of country in the 90s with George Strait and all those guys. What kind of stuff was he listening to?
Man, my dad was really into like Aaron Tippin, Sawyer Brown, Little Texas. Jody Messina was his favorite female country artist of all time. That was kind of more his thing. Alan Jackson and Montgomery Gentry when they came out in like 99, 2000.
When did music start looking like a thing to you? Like it wasn't just something you were going to like listen to or, dabble in, but it looked like something you were going to take seriously.
Honestly, when I was like 6.
That, yeah.
I told my mom when I was 6 I was going to be a singer and an entertainer. And she was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to do music for a while. I'm going to get into television, start hosting, and then I'm going to do TV and movies. And she, the cool thing about my parents, man, they pushed me for that the whole time. They never once said, you got to go to college, whatever, and you got to do this real job thing. Doing music is a real job. To me, a real job is anything you do that pays money. That's a real job. You know what I'm saying? So, luckily I wasn't raised in a family that wanted to raise me in a box, a prison with limits. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, they didn't believe in that.
So it sounds like your folks, to support a kid that wants to do something like that, your folks must have had kind of like an entrepreneurial streak in them to support you.
Yeah. No, they had a streak of just, being a person, not being a follower. You know what I mean? I feel like anyone that just follows the norm just to follow the norm is a follower. You know what I mean? They're just doing something because that's what they're told to do, or just doing something that's just because what society makes you think. Okay, if you look at this whole thing in life, you go to high school, you get a diploma, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you die. Yeah, no, hell no, that's not me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they raised me to believe you do what you want to do with your life. It's your life.
Right.
You know what I'm
saying? And then on the other side of it, what people get who live that more traditional path is they get like a lot of security and safety. So, on your end, taking more of a chance. Sounds like when you moved into Nashville in 2007, there wasn't a lot of security there for you. There was some some turbulence at first.
Oh, for sure. I even look at the people that do that, the traditional thing. That's not even security to me. You know what I mean? Because security is more than financial. Security is mental. You know what I'm saying? How many people I know working a job because it pays good, but they're miserable? That's not security for me. You can snap at any point. To me, the only security you need is mental security. You know what I'm saying? Like being happy with yourself, where you are, and the decisions you made. To me, someone's more secure when they don't have regrets.
That's yeah.
When you're full of regrets, man, that'll bite you in the butt one day. Then you start, taking that out on people closest to you, whether it's your friends, whether it's your families, because you start to blame other people for decisions you made in your life.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be kids most of all too, with what you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about there. So talk to me about the Nashville that you found I think you moved there in like 2007. What did Nashville look
Yeah.
like on the ground? And I mean, it doesn't sound like you had a ton of connections when you got to town. So how did you get
Nah,
started?
yeah. I kind of came in and was working at this gym and was going out to different songwriters nights and like just meeting people and just trying to meet as many people as I can, and at the same time while networking, also educating myself on the business, on the marketing side, publishing, PROs, starting to learn about social media because it slowly started to become a thing. Um, Trying to learn about royalties, how to read contracts, how to, when you see it, when a check comes in, don't get excited about the gross, but focus on the net. You know what I'm saying? For check, you got a check coming in for $10,000. Hey, you're getting paid $10,000 for a show. Yeah, that sounds nice, but you got to pay your business manager, your booking agency, pay the band, expenses getting there, then you get what's left. So starting to look at the net, not the gross, because I feel like so many artists get so excited and they start spending money before they got it because they're like, oh, I'm getting paid $50,000 for this show. No, you're not. You got taxes off the top. Your manager's getting 15 to 20%. Your business manager's getting 10%. I mean, your booking agent's getting 10%. Your business manager's getting 5%. You bring your band and your crew, you might walk with 4.
Yeah, and don't forget about Uncle Sam, man. That's a big one in there too.
Exactly. Taxes come right.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's how you get from 10,000 to 4,000 real quick.
yeah.
So just trying to really understand that, learning how to read contracts, learning what I'm signing before I'm signing. And at the same time, starting to build value to yourself, starting to understand your worth. That way you start educating yourself. You don't have to walk into any situation, whether it's a label, whether it's management, whether it's publishing, and just accept any deal they have to offer. Because I tell every artist all the time, look, if one person offers you a deal, great. If it ain't the deal you want, I mean, you got to take it right away. Because if they're excited, it means somebody else is going to be excited. And not every person is going to offer you the best deal right away. Every now and again, you might. Like my manager, Ash Bowers, when he first met me, he was my manager and my publisher. He probably offered me the best publishing deal I probably would have ever got. Because I compared my deal he offered me to people I knew that just signed with Sony as a new writer and all these other companies. And, I was getting 3 times what they were getting. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is a great deal. Now every label deal is not like that. Every management deal is not like that or whatever. But I lucked out, and I knew it was a great deal as soon as I seen it because I had taken the time to study publishing deals in Nashville. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people say, well, did you study pop deals? Well, not really, because I wasn't trying to get a pop publishing deal. So for me, it was no point to take up that brain space right now. And I needed to focus on what Nashville was, what country music was, what these deals looked like, what I felt like I was worth was what I could get.
You mentioned something there that I want to follow up on that I think's interesting. You said you started that conversation right there by saying you were focusing on building value in
Yeah.
yourself, and I think that's an interesting way to put it. What do you mean when you say building value, and how did you do it?
Man, I meant it by studying the game, studying music and working on your craft, like trying to be the best songwriter you can be, the best entertainer you can be. I realized my strength was more in singing ability and entertaining than it was in songwriting at the point. So I said, great. So I'm gonna focus on entertaining some more, and then still work on songwriting. I had time for, like I tell people, the time you move to Nashville to when you get your deal, that's what you call, that's work time. That's time to build yourself. You know what I mean? That's time to educate yourself. That's time to get prepared for the opportunity you one day want, because an opportunity is going to come. Everybody comes to Nashville that puts the work in over amount of time, between a year and 8 years, you'll get an opportunity. Now it's all about how much preparation
Jimmie, I lost you.
So I was educating myself, trying to learn as much as I could, and build value to myself. Meaning, if I walked into a situation, I can hold a conversation with an attorney. I can hold a conversation with a publisher. I can hold a conversation with another artist, with a label head, with a manager, and really kind of explain my vision, kind of what I want and what I can bring to the table. And adding value also means I can walk into a label and say, look, y'all don't got to come up with no plan for me as far as like imaging and branding. I know who I am. I just need, wherever I go to, hey, I'm going to give you this music. Let's get it out. And trying to create as less work for my label as possible, because they have so many, whatever label I went to, whatever label any artist goes to, they have so many other artists on there. So you want to walk in as finished as possible, right? To where that's less work that they got to put into you as far as helping you create who you are when you're supposed to know who you are as an artist anyway.
That's a good understanding of human nature. Just the moment you do people's job for them, they really like you a lot,
Mm-hmm.
So you said you arrived in town and you felt like the singing and the entertaining was something that came pretty naturally to you, was a strong suit, but songwriting was a thing that you were going to drill down on in that first 1 to 8 years. What are some of the lessons that you had to learn for songwriting, and who was teaching you those lessons?
Well, for me, I kind of go against the grain, sometimes on purpose, sometimes just because of who I am. I didn't want to fall victim to what they call songwriting rules of Nashville. And if I was in LA, I don't want to fall victim to songwriting rules of LA. Meaning I look at every song as a blank canvas. Sometimes with, I would go in some of these writing sessions in Nashville, and if you say a word in a verse, you can't say it in the chorus on the second verse. I'm like, why the hell not? Ain't we writing this song? If it sounds good, if it feels good, it is good. So if I want to say a word or a phrase in the first verse and in the chorus and in the second verse, why not? Think about it. You sing the same chorus 3 times in a song. So why can't I say a same word twice? You know what I mean?
Right.
So just focusing on what works for me, what makes the most sense, and learning to create without boundaries. You know what I mean? Because I would go into a lot of songwriting sessions in Nashville, and before the songs even started, you can feel the walls up in the room to where we have to stay in this box. Why? Who says? Says who? Are we writing songs or copying songs? What are we doing here? You know what I mean?
Did you get pushback on that desire to go in that direction? And if so, how did you find other writers and collaborators that were more simpatico with you?
Yeah, I got pushed back. So I would just honestly leave the room. Say, all right, well, if we writing songs under restriction, I'm not writing this. I would leave.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time to be miserable and write a mediocre song that nobody's ever going to record or want to listen to. Why are we here? You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you walk into a room, you're supposed to be, every time you walk into a room, you're trying to create the best song you can create that's never been created. And if we're putting limitations on what we're doing to begin with, why? You know what I mean? So I would leave.
Yeah. What is the first song that you remember writing, either by yourself or in a session like that, where you thought to yourself, like, all right, damn, I've learned a thing or two, and this could be a thing?
It was 2013, the first time I feel like I really started to come into like writing solid songs. There's this song called Feels Good. It was a good one where there was no limits. Everybody in the room was just trying to create the best song possible. And we ended up using this line in the song 2 or 3 times, but it made sense for the song. And it wasn't even the hook of the song, but it was another hook. I feel like the job of the song is so there's 3 types of songs you can write. You can write one that pulls on the heartstrings. You can write one that feels good, it's all about a good time. That should be catchy. So I was like, all right, let's write one that's super catchy. And we repeated a song to where there was a hook within a hook. And I'm like, we're trying to create the best song possible. So that was the first time I really felt like, I really started to like dial in and start to figure out the songwriting thing.
That's funny. So it wasn't straight off then. I mean, you're talking about, a good 4, 5, 6 years of writing songs that you didn't feel were up to snuff. I mean, what kept you going during that time?
Um, what kept me going is, the same thing that kept me going when I started this dream, knowing what I wanted and not quitting until I got it. And then when I get it, wanting more. You know, uh I'm always, what do you call, looking for more. Like, I'm never satisfied. Like, never. Um when I achieve, because I love the struggle. I love creating. I love building something. So I could win an award or I could get a number one. And I'm great. My celebration is not going out celebrating that thing we did. My celebrating is getting back to work. So I'm addicted to the struggle. I'm addicted to creating. I'm addicted to proving people wrong. Um, I just love that. That's what's kept me going. That's what keeps me going today.
And as you get older and as you're seeing more and more wonderful success, you haven't created even just like a little space to enjoy it a little bit? An award here, a Colbert show there. I mean, nothing?
Nah, I might. Nah, I guess everybody enjoys it differently. My enjoyment is getting back to work. My enjoyment is letting the opportunity that just happened create more room for me to create more. That's how I celebrate. Because for me, with everything that I do, the whole thing just goes like this, right? And the bigger it gets, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the bigger it gives me more room to create something else.
Getting better at your instrument is an essential part of being a songwriter. When you play better guitar, you write better songs. It's that simple. How do you do that, though? Sure, you could get lessons from the neighbor who majored in dotted triplets at Barnard, but that would cost you an arm and a leg. Or else you could pull up YouTube and pay nothing at all, but that becomes the ultimate time suck. You'll end up sifting through videos of nerds unironically weeping as they finger tap the harmonized guitar solo from Hotel California. What's the sweet spot in between? Peghead Nation, the online home for American roots music. They feature curated video workshops with world-class instructors on guitar, mandolin, banjo, fiddle, upright bass, dobro, and ukulele. They have levels of instruction that meet the needs of both scrappy upstarts and grizzled veterans. And most importantly, all of it comes in at a low monthly subscription that actual strapped-for-cash songwriters can easily afford. To start taking classes yourself, head on over to pegheadnation.com to check out their 50 available courses. Enter the promo code TWS, the initials of our show, to get your first month free. You can also send a gift subscription to the songwriter in your life or to the player in your band who needs a not-so-subtle hint about their playing prowess. Peghead Nation, when you play better guitar, you write better songs. It's that simple. I must admit that I love Jimmie's winning attitude, and it's certainly refreshing in a business where many of us can too often lean toward the negative. I read a poem this week by the poet Harriet Monroe that made me think of Jimmie and what it must be like to be a positive force in a sometimes gloomy landscape. It's entitled, In the Yellowstone. Little pinprick geysers spitting and sputtering, little foaming geysers that spatter and cough, bubbling geysers that gurgle out of the calyx of morning glory pools, laughing geysers that dance in the sun and spread their robes like lace over the rocks, raging geysers that rush out of hell with a great noise and blurt out vast dragon gulps of steam and finishing sink back wearily into darkness. Glad geysers nymphs of the sun that rise, slim and nude, out of the hot dark earth and stand poised in beauty a moment, veiling their brows and breasts in mist. Winged geysers, spirits of fire that rise tall and straight like a sequoia and plume the sky with foam. O wild coral fountains, forever singing and seething, forever boiling in deep places and leaping forth for bright moments into the air. How do you like it up there? Why must you go back to the spirits of darkness? What do you tell them down there about your little glorious life in the sun? You mentioned that if you keep your nose to the grindstone in Nashville, sometime in that 1 to 8 year range, you're going to get that opportunity. Clearly, you're on the other side of that opportunity, and you're blazing forward. What was that break for you? What was that opportunity that took you from guy who was writing songs, in sessions with other people to your own artist career and releasing your own albums? That's a huge jump in Nashville.
2016, February, I got a call to fill in for a songwriter that couldn't do a songwriter round at Puckett's grocery store in Franklin. And my now manager, Ash Bowers, was there that night. He was one of the other songwriters there, and this guy named Chris Caminetti. And I was just playing songs I wrote, playing songs I had. And afterwards, Ash came up to me and asked me if I was signing anybody and what I had going on. And we just started talking. A week later, Ash offered me a pub deal, a management deal. And it was, I got called out of both my jobs that day because I was like, I at least get to sing. I get a free meal and I make $200. So for me, it's a win-win. My dad used to always have this phrase, always make yourself available. So that's what I always tried to do. And that was the moment everything shifted for me in 2016.
There has to be part of you that looks back on that and said, damn, man, like what if I didn't call out? Because you'd probably done 1 million songwriters nights up until then, right? So and
I always called out for them too.
And you always called out for them.
Yeah, I was never not going to call out when I got an opportunity to perform. Because I'm like, that's why I'm in Nashville. Like,
right.
I'm not here to be a server. I'm not here to be a janitor. No, I was a janitor, and there's nothing wrong with that job, but that wasn't my calling. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what job I had, and if I got an opportunity to sing, I was calling out.
Yeah.
There's times where a job said, if you call out, you lose your job. Well, all right, I lost 3 or 4 jobs before from calling out to perform. But I would just find another one. I'm a very overly optimistic person. And I feel like you have to see yourself where you want to go before you get there in order to stay focused on your North Star to get there. Because it's like, as long as see where you want to go, no matter what obstacles have that might push you to the left, push you to the right, you're still focused on where you want to go to where your path might be different, but you'll get there. I'll have people ask me, Jimmie, when you won CMA Artist of the Year, or when you played this show and you did this, did you ever think would happen? Actually, yes, I did.
Yeah.
I saw it. I wanted it. I worked for it. I felt like I put the work in to get here. Now, I'm not saying I'm always thankful for my opportunities. I'm grateful for my opportunities. But at the same time, who wakes up and works hard to fail? Nobody in any career. We all work hard and strive to work something to be successful. So when you are successful, you shouldn't be surprised. You should be like, yeah, I put the work in. I deserve this.
Yeah. Well, so you're talking about that kind of vision there. I mean, it sounds like from a very young age in general. You said 6 years old is when you had the vision to be a performer in general. When you get that deal, when you get the publishing deal and you start to work with this manager and you get like one chance. You get one chance at an introduction to an audience as an artist, right? So you must have had a vision for what that first record was going to sound like and how you were going to look as an artist, how you were going to sound as an artist, how you were going to do interviews like. So what was that vision that you had for it?
My vision was to focus on the music. Because I always knew at some point, I'd get into my big hats with the sunglasses and the chains and everything. But I didn't want my appearance to be a distraction and take people away from the music. Because at the end of the day, no matter what people say, they'll say, well, this artist doesn't make good songs anymore. I don't know why they're doing this, or this artist don't do this. Don't matter. In the beginning, you have to make great songs. You can't think of one successful artist no matter if you like their music now or not. In the beginning of their career, they made great music that you love because you have to. It's about the music first. First and foremost, about the music. It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter your gender. Don't matter your sexual orientation, your religious background, and that's not important. The song is important. Nobody introduces, hey, this is a new artist that's Asian from such and such that loves guys and girls and has a dog, and nobody cares. No, they play the song. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, they don't go into all that, bro. They play the song. They say, this is so and so, and here's their new song, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's about the music. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to do. That's why I kept it chill. I just wore some jeans, a t-shirt, had a ball cap on, and I tried to make the best songs I could at the time. And then, as I slowly start to build a fan base, I said, okay, cool. People know me for my music now. Now I can wear what I want to wear. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what I did.
That's interesting. It's so true though, because I mean, audiences kind of vote on the music that they like just by streaming it. You can look on someone's Spotify page, and it's like maybe they didn't think it was going to be the song that people love, but that's the one that everyone streams. Audiences vote.
Yeah, you know how many people came up to me and said, "Man, Jimmie Allen, I had no idea you were black. I just heard the name Jimmie Allen, heard the songs, and man, I like it. And I looked you up. I was like, oh, okay, because the song got me. And nobody started listening to my music because of where I was from. Was what I looked like. They don't tell your whole backstory as a new artist on radio or on any streaming platform. No, they play the song. The song is either good or it's not. It's that simple. And what people also got to understand is just because a song isn't good for one group of people doesn't mean it's not going to be good for another group of people. So you also got to be confident in who you are, know what your sound is, and say, yo, this is me. And I'm okay that not everybody's going to like it. That's fine. But the people that do like it, that's what I'm searching for.
The artist career that you're in the middle of right now, obviously you've had great success with awards, with sales. You were just on Colbert the other day with your new album coming out, Tulip Drive. You've already mentioned earlier in this interview, you've foreshadowed, this feels like not the start of something, this feels like the culmination of something. And you mentioned earlier in this interview that you already have a vision for the next part of your career, which would be maybe hosting television, doing films. I'm wondering where you do want to go from here, and maybe on the business side, where you see your next 5 to 10 years going.
I'll definitely keep creating music. I want to definitely start to get more into television, more into movies. Other brand stuff I'm working on. Want to continue to build my businesses I have back home in Delaware. Musical theater, we definitely want to go on Broadway. Working on a stand-up comedy special right now because I did stand-up comedy in college. Definitely can't tell some of the jokes I used to tell back then, because everybody's so sensitive these days.
You're not alone.
The world's full of a bunch of soft people. Everybody's offended by things that have nothing to do with them. But anyway.
What's it been like for your folks to see all this, man? Like to see you from that young age having this vision, and then them supporting you, seeing the lean years in Nashville before it all popped off? Like, what's it been like for them?
My dad, from the day I started to the day he died in 2019, he was super proud of me. He knew what happened. I was happy he got to see me at my first #1, play my first sold out concert. My mom, she's not surprised. You know what I'm saying? Her mentality is a lot like mine. You say you want it, you put the work in, you make opportunities, you create opportunities for yourself too. That's what people don't understand a lot of times. A lot of times, opportunities you have, you create for yourself. You know what I mean? I know a lot of times, like I was raised in the church, and a lot of times, a lot of Christians be like, well, you got to wait on the Lord. Yeah, wait on the Lord don't mean sit on your ass and do nothing. And it means keep working. And you wait for him to show you that that's the right opportunity. It means wait while working, not wait and do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's how my mama is. That's how my dad raised me. And my mom, she's super happy for me. But she's not surprised by anything.
Yeah.
She just wants me to, keep being me, keep having fun. Luckily my parents raised me with so much confidence that, the lack of belief from certain people, or if people don't like me, it doesn't bother me. Like, I really don't care. Like, if someone, someone says, hey, I don't like Jimmie. Jimmie did this. Jimmie said that. That doesn't affect my day at all. Like, I still sleep perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's how you should be as people anyway, man. Because if we all get bothered by opinions on us from other people, like, it shouldn't affect us. It's called self-esteem for a reason. How you feel about yourself, not other people's esteem. You know what I mean? So yeah, they just, every day she just, reinforces my belief in myself. It keeps telling me to work hard and motivate others, help other people the same way people help me. Focus on creating good music, being a great person, and working hard.
The way that you've had this vision and it's culminated, obviously the way that things actually come into reality in the world, they're a little bit different than you imagined, at first. So now that you're seeing this sort of success, in what way does it feel the most different from the original dream that you had?
Honestly, it doesn't.
It all lines up.
Yeah, it does, man. I didn't get into this thing thinking it was going to be easy. I didn't get into this thing thinking that everybody would support me. I still don't. I got into this thing thinking I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to create the best music I can, and I'm going to put on a kick-ass concert. I'm going to entertain. I'm going to try to make people laugh, try to make them cry, try to make them remember, try to motivate them to achieve whatever dream they have. I knew it would be, some people that would want to get on board with the Jimmie Allen brand, some people that wouldn't, and that's okay. So for me, it's the same thing. Like, nothing's changed. Like, I feel like it's super naive for any artist to believe that they'll write their song and everybody will want to get on board. Nah, man, you're trying to get people and companies to invest a couple $1 million in your career just to see if it works. And a lot of times people say no, not because they don't like you, but because, their job's on the line. And if they make another bad decision, they can't afford that. So that's what people say, well, Jimmie, how are you friends with people at labels that didn't sign you? Because at the end of the day, man, it's a business. This is a business. And that's what I tell people all the time. This isn't called the music friendship. It's called the music business. Okay. It's got to make business sense. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I tell people all the time. Like, I have friends that work for other labels that could have signed me, but they didn't. And that's okay. I'm cool with that, because at that time, they could have just signed an artist that was similar to me. They could have just signed an artist and went over their spending budget for the month or for the year. Or they could have took a risk on an artist before that didn't work. And then they couldn't, their job security couldn't take another chance on another artist that didn't work. And that's okay. I don't hold any grudges towards anyone. It's a business, and people have to make the best decision for themselves in that time.
Well, man, it's a pleasure to talk to you for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is it's always a pleasure to talk to someone who has a singular vision and who's had it for a long time. So thanks so much for being on the podcast. I
Man,
really
no problem, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
This week's show is brought to you by Bandzoogle. Built by musicians and for musicians, Bandzoogle is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful website for your music. Use promo code TWS, the initials of our podcast, TWS, to get 15% off the first year of any subscription. Jimmie Allen's latest album is entitled Tulip Drive, available everywhere music is sold or streamed. If before we meet again, you sit down to write, please remember, an expensive drug habit is not a song, a compelling Instagram account is not a song, and most importantly, reverb is not a song. So let all that take care of itself, and for you, just keep your eye on the song.